Hi, I'm Kate from dailytarotgirl.com, and in this video I want to chat with you about how to choose the right tarot deck for you. So a question that I get all the time is, what tarot deck should I buy? And I feel like there's kind of two groups of people that ask me this question. So there's the people who are absolute beginners who are looking for a tarot deck to learn tarot on, and usually they feel overwhelmed by the massive variety of choices that are available online. There's so many decks available, like thousands. And the other group of people that ask this question are people who maybe have been studying tarot a while and maybe have multiple decks, but they're still searching for that one special deck. So if you're a tarot beginner, and this is going to be your first deck to learn tarot on, I always recommend that tarot beginners get the classic Rider-Waite Smith tarot deck. So this is my copy. This is actually the universal Waite deck. It differs from the original Rider-Waite deck in that the coloring is a little bit different. It's a little bit nicer in my opinion. So I always recommend this deck for a couple of reasons. Number one, and I'm just going to show you, you've probably seen this deck before, but I'll just show you a few images of it. So this deck is very simply illustrated, and when you're learning, you really don't want to learn on a deck that's overly complicated. And I feel like the Rider-Waite Smith deck is, it has simple illustrations and it's easy to understand for a beginner. And most tarot books will refer to this deck and show pictures of this deck. So if you're trying to learn with books or even websites, it just makes it so much more simple if you have this deck to learn on, because most books will refer to this deck. So something I hear from people whenever I say, oh, just get the Rider-Waite deck, they'll say, oh yeah, I've seen that deck and I just don't resonate with it. I just, I'm not into the artwork or whatever. And I was this way as well. So when I first started learning tarot, everyone told me to get the Rider-Waite Smith deck. So I did, and I didn't resonate with it. I felt like the artwork was too simplistic, the colors were too loud and garish, and the people seemed stupid. I don't know, I just didn't love it. And so I ended up buying this other tarot deck called the Secret Tarot, which is a neat deck. It's pretty cool. It's interesting, and I really liked it. And I tried learning on it, and I really struggled. And I'll show you what it looks like. It's based on the Rider-Waite Smith type imagery and structure and symbolism and all that. But I really, really struggled to learn tarot with this deck. I struggled to understand the cards, and I just had a hell of a time with it. And so eventually I went back to the Rider-Waite Smith deck, and that's when I started to make real progress. And so even though I didn't love the artwork on the Rider-Waite deck, I found it the easiest deck to learn tarot on. And now that I've been working with that deck off and on for a while, I've come to really appreciate that deck. I appreciate the simplicity, I appreciate the artistic style in a way that I hadn't before. So my advice to you is, even if you don't resonate with that deck, if you're serious about learning tarot, if you're not serious about learning tarot, it doesn't matter what deck you get. But if you're really serious about understanding tarot and the symbolism and everything, you really want to get the Rider-Waite Smith deck. And you can always get another deck alongside it if you really don't, resonate with the Rider-Waite deck. So if you're someone who has a few decks already and you're still looking for that special deck, that deck that is, the one. I have this particular process of choosing a deck, and I always start by usually going online and looking to see, what kind of decks are available. So sometimes I'll go to Amazon just to see what new decks are coming on the market. I know Etsy is another place to look for decks. Pinterest, Google Images, and I love Eclectic Tarot. I think it's eclectictarot.net, and they've got lots of deck reviews and images and stuff like that. And I actually polled my Facebook audience and asked them, how do you choose a tarot deck? And there were some great suggestions. So a few people said Facebook tarot groups were a good place to discover new decks. Pinterest, Instagram, recommendations from tarot friends, and YouTube reviews or YouTube deck collection videos. And I actually have, I think, 3 or 4 deck collection videos on my YouTube channel. And tarot blogs. I know on my own blog, I occasionally will review tarot decks. And I already mentioned eclectic tarot. And an old school way to find a deck is to actually leave your house and go to a physical store. So like a bookstore, or if you have a local metaphysical shop, sometimes they will even have some tarot decks unwrapped so that you can look through the entire deck and hold the deck in your hands. And this is really kind of the best way to shop for tarot decks, because you actually get to see the deck in person. You get to see how it feels in your hands, the cardstock quality, all that kind of stuff. Because sometimes you'll see images online and you get really excited, and then when you actually order the deck and have it in your hands, it's not as good as you felt it was when you saw it online, or vice versa sometimes. So once you have exposed yourself to a wide array of decks, you want to take note of the ones that really pique your interest, the ones that you have kind of a reaction to, the ones that you're drawn to, the ones you really like. And before I make my final decision on a deck, there's a couple of questions that I think are really valuable to ask. So the first question is, what is it that you're wanting to bring into your tarot practice? So if you're wanting to bring in more simplicity to your tarot practice, you want to go for a deck that feels simple. So you don't want to choose a deck that's really busy and cluttered. If you're wanting to bring in more fun and joy and kind of lightness to your tarot practice, go for a deck that feels fun, like the Everyday Witch Tarot or the Vanessa Tarot. And maybe if you're a Wiccan, if you want to kind of incorporate tarot into your Wiccan practices, you might want to go with a deck like the Druidcraft Tarot or the Wildwood or Everyday Witch, something that kind of reflects that. And it's not just what you want to bring into your tarot practice, but what do you want to bring into your life? What do you want more of in your life? If you want more connection to animals and nature, you might want to opt for an animal-themed deck or a nature-themed deck. If you're wanting to bring in more spirituality and meditation into your life, you might want to choose a deck that reflects that. So I think that's an important question to ponder before you choose a deck. What is it that you're wanting to bring into your life? The second question is, what is the purpose of this deck, or why are you buying this deck? So typically when I buy decks, I use them for all kinds of things. I'm going to use them to read for myself. I'm going to use it to read for others. I'm going to use it to meditate on or write with. But think about this. What are you going to be using this deck for? Is it just going to be a personal deck that only you are going to use for personal readings? Or are you wanting a deck that's going to stimulate, creativity and inspire you to be more creative or to write more, or something like that? So again, that's an important question to ask. Why are you buying this deck? What purpose is it going to serve for you? So once you ask yourself those 2 questions, that should help you narrow it down. And I know there's so many decks out there that it can be really dizzying. It can be really overwhelming. So hopefully these tips will help you choose your next tarot deck. And I'm curious, do you have a particular method of choosing a tarot deck? What helps you decide what tarot deck you're going to buy? And if you feel like sharing, you can just share in the comments below. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful. And you can find more tarot videos and deck reviews and all that kind of fun stuff on my website, dailytarotgirl.com. Thank you so much for watching.